Chapter 24, The Mirror of Truth. Dream state. Pretty cherry blossom, do you think he really cares for you? A smooth male voice asked her, if you had no powers, if you weren't connected by your heritage, the past, all the strange things that happen, what would you mean to him? Nothing. He only associates with you because you are a card Captor Sakura, not because he actually cares for you in person. Think about when you first met him. You only got to know him because you were rivals in capturing the clout cards. And then his mission ended. He returned home, just like that. But he came back! Sakura shouted into the black pitch darkness. He only came back when the new trouble started. Just think of all your past memories together. The only binding you have to him is what you planned by the past. That's not true. I would have cared for him, even if he wasn't Cloudreed's descendant. Even if I wasn't Card Captor. So you say. Shut up. You're only another dream. Sakura clenched her eyes shut. I want to wake up. Stop this nightmare. Do you two always practice together? Sakura asked, watching Syaoran and Melanie practice their martial arts move against each other in the living room. Sometimes, Syaoran replied, striking out his left arm. Oh yeah, wasn't Syaoran teaching you some fighting skills also? What happened to those lessons? Melanie asked. Ever since that winter day, when he told her, ever since then, they had stopped the lessons, yet Sakura had been practicing the moves that Syaoran had taught her, all on her own. I guess we kind of lost track of it, Syaoran commented carelessly as he wiped his forehead with a towel. I'm taking a shower. He walked away. Gripping the necklace, Sakura stared at Syaoran's back. Who was Syaoran really inside? Was he really this cold, uncaring person? Or was he really the warm, caring underneath his exterior? Her handphone rang. Quickly, she took it out of her pocket. Earlier, her brother had called, giving another lecture of her being unorganized and irresponsible. Her father had also called her, informing her that he was enjoying his trip very much and hit off the college board directors very well. Who could it be now? Hello? Kira-chan! Yeah, there's been lots of trouble lately. A thief? A new force? Oh yeah, I sprained my ankle, so I'm staying at Lee's. Yeah, I'm okay now. No, Syaoran is not a brat. Really? Everything's fine. Did you find any information? I think there's something strange about my necklace. Huh? Something about the Five Forest treasure? What's that? Okay then. Contact me again. Don't bother Iro-kun too much and don't eat too much sweets. Bye. Melanie asked, was the stuffed animal calling from England? Yeah, it seems like he's trying to track down some of Clausen's old documents. He said I should start tracking down the past as well. Oni-chan's having problems with Nagura-san, I heard. Oh, and Miho-chan and Kiro-chan don't get along. Wait, I worry about Kiro-chan, but I miss him after years of being together. I wonder what the Five Forest treasures are. Sitting next to Sakura on the table, Syaoran was earnestly explaining something rather boring and complex to her. So anyway, in the old legend, there were the great 5 magicians, each with the power of the heavenly bodies, elemental power, second sight, contract magic, power of the dark and light. We know 3 of them, Lee, Reed, and Amiya. Another one would be the line of the legendary Dark Ones. We still don't know the last one. Iro would be finding more about it right now. On a scribbled notebook, Syaoran drew a line out of a star he had drawn. Then we go to our parents' generation. There's my father, Ali, your mother, Amiya, and Miho's mother, Mizuki Miyara-san. The problem is, Sakura? Sakura, hey, are you listening to me? Huh? Sakura's mind returned back to the Lee's living room in the afternoon. It was after school and rather warm and muggy. Yeah, I'm listening. No, you weren't. This is important. How are we ever going to conquer the Dark Ones if you don't even know the basic principles behind it? You are card mistress, for heaven's sake. Act like one. Staring down at her hand, Sakura remembered her dream and thought, I'm right. Whenever he talks to me or associates with me, it's always about business. It's always been like that, even when we were rivals. If I weren't the chosen Sakura card mistress, he wouldn't even be talking to me. We'd have nothing in common, and I'll know nothing about him. He wouldn't have even given a second glance to me. I wouldn't even be staying in this house. Always, he's been nice to me and looked after me because I'm the card mistress. He needs me for business. Well, there's no other reason for him to associate with me. What are my feelings for him anyway? Gosh, I'm so stupid. He cares for Mei Lin because they've grown up together. There's no business with Erika, but he enjoys her company. He even talks to Tomeo often. Everyone likes Tomeo, and he can tell her their problems, but yet the only binding thing I have to him are my powers. If it wasn't that... Sakura! Syaoran slammed his fist down in exasperation. You're still not listening to me. Are you in this or not? Sorry, I have a lot of things on my mind, okay? Well, you're not the only one. But you can't just shrink away from your duties. You've got to face them sooner or later. Forget it. Just do it on your own. I'm tired of all this. Sakura bolted out of the living room, into the guest room, and slammed it shut. Stupid Syaoran. Duties as contracts as Sakura card captor. I'm just sick of it all. Yet, if I just return to an ordinary girl, what am I? Nothing. Syaoran wouldn't even give a second glance at me, but if I escape from my duties, then who will look after everything? If I escape from my duties, you'll no longer be a part of my life. Oh, wait, Sakura! Syaoran pushed back his chair and ran after her, only to be greeted by the shut door. Dryly, Mei Lin commented as she came out of her room. What'd you say to her now? I don't know, Syaoran replied, falling back into the couch. Why does this girl confuse me so much? Make my insides turn inside out. Did you hear? There's an exhibition of the legendary Princess Rosa's mirror in the Museum of Fine Arts, Chiharu exclaimed at school. Really? You mean the one in Tokyo? Rika asked. What's with Princess Rosa's mirror? Inquired Mei Lin curiously. You mean you don't know the legend? Takashi said. Well, don't make up lies, Takashi-kun. You promised, Chiharu scolded. All right. Smiling, Tomeo brushed back her long violet hair and clasped her hands. Well, long ago, in a far-off land, there was a beautiful princess. Now, Princess Rosa, as all princesses do, had to live a stiff, royal life of politics and courtesy. Then, one day, she fell in love with a common mirror-making man. Yet, since she was a princess, she couldn't marry him. So she asked the man to make her a mirror which would show her not as a princess of one land, but as who she really was. After many days, the mirror maker finally finished the mirror and presented it to the princess. And when the princess looked into the mirror, she saw herself not as a princess, but as a maiden in love with a man. So, Princess Rosa ran away with the man and lived happily ever after. With huge teary eyes, Mei Lin sniffed. That's such a beautiful story. Yes, and it's said that people seek to look into the mirror of truth, as it is called, to find their true selves and happiness. Of course,
There was greediness as to who will possess the mirror as well. Others can't face who they are, for the mirror of truth would reflect who you really are inside. Ah, Tomeo sighed. I can imagine some people are shocked from their reflections. A mirror which will reflect who I really am, not as a card captor or someone with powers, but as an ordinary girl, Sakura thought. I want to see it, Melanie exclaimed, clenching her fist. Syaoran! Take me to the museum! Well, tomorrow's Sunday. Do you guys all want to go meet and go to the exhibition tomorrow? Tomeo asked. Rika commented, I'm kind of scared to, actually, but I still want to go. Count me in. I'm going to see what's inside Takeshi-kun, Chiharu said. Hey, Takashi groaned. Isn't it obvious? Yep. Only lies and more lies will be reflected, I bet. Raising an elegant eyebrow, Erika asked, the mirror of truth. That'll be interesting, Eron commented. Wouldn't it, Sakura? Huh? Yeah, it'll be interesting, Sakura replied. Only those who are pure heart will see a satisfying result, though, Syaoran said, gazing at the ocean blue stone of his ring. Why are you so eager to see the mirror of truth, Melanie? Tomeo asked during lunch. Casting her amber-red eyes down, Melanie said, You know what's strange? All this while, I've been trying to stop liking Syaoran, yet I can't help liking him. Maybe if I don't see him all the time, it'll be better. I don't know if you heard about it, but he had another fight with Sakura. Shouldn't I be glad when they fight? I don't know why I invited her to stay over at our house anyway, but I can't make him like me by force. I've already given up. I'm trying to make myself believe it. Then I wonder, if he never met Sakura, would he have cared for me more? It's all right, Melanie. Things will turn out all right, Tomeo said. Sakura turned around and walked away from her friends. Accidentally, she had overheard their conversation. Oh, how selfish am I? Have I even stopped to think about Melanie? She's been nice to me all this time, even though she likes Syaoran. I've just messed everything up for her, especially since I came to live with them. It's all because of me that she was kidnapped by the Kaido magician. It's no good. Why do I have such strange feelings for Syaoran? I'm just causing trouble for everyone. Hey! Syaoran caught up with her. Here's your lunch. You forgot to take it this morning. Huh? Oh, thanks. Sakura looked down at her feet. Could he see her face turning red as she took the lunch bag? Well, see you later. You shouldn't run out so fast in the morning without taking your lunch. Okay, stop thinking about him. Are you thinking of someone? Eron asked. Sakura jumped. When did he arrive? No? What do you think will result from looking into the mirror of truth? Placing his hand on his chin, Eron replied, well, maybe reality and the facts of life, something you must accept without any regrets. Keep the other feelings and hurt inside you, but most of all, it'll help you decide what is the right thing to do. Wow, it's been ages since we went out together, exclaimed Chiharu to her friends as they gathered in front of the museum. I know! Let's have fun today, Sakura said, twirling around. Her pale green spring dress swirled around her. Your dress is very pretty, Sakura-chan, Rika commented. Thanks, Sakura smiled as she gathered to buy the tickets. It's one you bought in New York, isn't it? Rika asked. Yep. I couldn't wear it till the weather got warmer. That dress would look really nice with that pretty green ribbon you used to wear often. What happened to it? Tomeo asked. Oh yeah, that was my favorite ribbon. Sakura frowned to think. I lost it last year when I went over to Syaoran's house when he came back and we found Ryoran-san's diary. Syaoran, why are you turning so red all of a sudden? Asked Melanie. Suspiciously, she remembered a green ribbon she found in Syaoran's drawer once when she was snooping around.
What are you talking about? Syaoran exclaimed.
Whee! Look at the long line waiting to see Princess Rose's Mirror of Truth, Sakura said. We'll probably have to wait all day. We better look around the other exhibitions first, Tomeo replied. Oh, look at that painting. It's by that artist, Melanie exclaimed. Shin-san. Where? Tentatively, Sakura walked up to a painting where a girl with long violet hair was on one side of a transparent mirror, placing her hand against the surface. On the other side was a chestnut brown-haired young man, his sapphire blue eyes sparkling, as he placed his hand on the mirror, just like a reflection. The two people's expressions were hard to decipher, almost as if they couldn't see each other. Reading the information panel beside it, Tomeo said, Reflections is currently on loan by the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Arts and is by the phenomenal artist Shin-san. This exhibition is complimentary to the legendary Princess Rose's Mirror of Truth currently displayed at this museum. I think Shin-san has much in common with me, but I like to videotape things while he paints them. While stepping back to observe the painting, Sakura bumped into someone. Oh, sorry. She gazed up at a young man dressed in startling black attire and sunglasses. It's you! Melanie exclaimed in recognition. What do you think you're doing here? That's the Kaido magician's business, he replied smoothly. And please be more quiet. I can't afford being caught right now. Do you think you're disguised? Who do you think wears sunglasses inside a museum? I'm surprised you're not caught yet. Melanie stuck her tongue out at him. Sighing, the thief gave one last bitter look at Shin's painting and melted into the crowd. I wonder why the Kaido magician's doing here, commented Syaoran thoughtfully. Probably off to steal something again, scoffed Melanie. Apparently, she hadn't forgiven the thief for kidnapping her yet. As for it, and for attaching the unremovable bracelet to her wrist. Steal what? Asked Sakura. The Mirror of Truth? Said Tomeo. Oh dear. Then she turned star-eyed. Ha! Another great opportunity for me to capture. Come, let's see the mirror now. Finally, they entered the hallway after waiting hours, leading to the exhibition room after the long line had disappeared. The others had already went before them. It was a policy to enter in small groups. They had waited all afternoon to enter. Tomeo-chan, Sakura asked as they finally walked in. What do you think you'll see in the mirror? Well, I don't know. How about you, Syaoran-kun?
Me? Syaoran fingered the blue gem that hung from around his neck. I won't look in the mirror. First of all, I don't believe in the legend. It's probably made up just to attract people. But if it's true, I don't want to learn the truth just by looking inside a mirror. I'd rather find out the truth through experience and enduring through life. Listening carefully to Syaoran's words, Sakura nodded. How different from Eran's interpretation, though. How about you, Melanie? You really wanted to see it, Tomeo said. Twisting her bluish-black hair, Melanie remembered how Syaoran had said he was most scared of the truth. I don't know. I'm really curious, too, but I'm kind of doubtful. Carefully, they walked into the room. Almost immediately, they were blinded by the brilliance of the mirror. As they approached it, they found that it was a circular-shaped oval, and the frame was elegantly wrought in gold. It was encased in glass, with a thorough security system around it. Their friend stood by the exit. We'll leave first, all right? Naku said. Okay. Did you look in the mirror? Sakura asked. Yeah, we all did, Rika said, blushing. What did you see? Melanie questioned curiously. It's a secret. Everyone's own personal secret, Chiharu replied. Well, see you guys. They waved and exited through the other door. So, who will look first? Asked Melanie. After what seemed like hours, nobody volunteered. So, why aren't any of you looking? Asked a smooth voice from behind them. They all turned back to see the Kaido magician at the back of the room, leaning against the wall with crossed arms. It's almost closing time. Surprised, Syaoran glanced at his watch to see it was 9 o'clock. What are you doing there anyway? Waiting. Now, go ahead, look in the mirror, then get out of here. Why don't you look in? Asked Melanie. Giving a short, cynical laugh, Kaido replied, I already know enough of the truth. I have no need to look into the mirror. The museum would be closing now, came the announcer's voice to the broadcast. Well, time to go. The Kaido magician dropped a gas bomb, then disappeared once more. Hui, how does he do that? Sakura said, coughing through the gas. He's going to come back later on tonight, I know, Syaoran said. I'm going to stick around and make sure he doesn't cause any more mischief. I'll stay too, Sakura said. Of course, Tomeo stayed. Also, Melanie didn't want to go home by herself. Then Sakura drew out a card. Invisible. Make us invisible to all the guards. They could see each other fine, but when the guards came to lock the museum up, they couldn't see the 4 people who hid behind an exhibition stand waiting for the Kaito to return. Several times, Sakura felt tempted to look in the mirror. She also wondered what Syaoran's reflection would show, yet it was none of her business. I can't stand it anymore. I've got to look. However, Melanie was interrupted by a figure dropping down from above. Shh! Syaoran nudged Melanie as they crouched in their hiding place to watch what the Kaito would do. Instead of heading towards the mirror, the Kaito swerved around at the spot where the 4 people were hiding and slashed out several darts in their directions. It's no use. Come out. Standing up, Sakura was sweating. How'd you know we were hiding here? Raising an eyebrow, Kaito magician said, grinning. You're still here? Very persistent, aren't you? Well, don't bother my business. Oh, and I knew because of this. He held out a pocket-sized computer with a red dot blinking on the blueprint of the museum. I can find where you are due to the microchip on your friend's bracelet. You! Melanie glared angrily at the bracelet on her wrist, trying to wrestle it out. Ignoring her, he slashed out several darts and broke all the hidden cameras. Then he walked up to the glass case. They've set up an electrocuting system for the night security. How convenient. Taking out a laptop computer and that folded into pocket size, he sat down and began typing various codes to cancel the system. There. Very simple. Next. I can't believe they put a lock like this. What a disgrace to the police. They think they're so smart. From underneath his shoes, he whipped out a lockpick set and wriggled a thin wire into the lock, opening the lid of the glass case with ease. Well, that's that. However, as he reached to take the mirror, a glare of brilliant white light spread out of the glass. They all shielded their eyes. As it dimmed, Sakura peered at it. She found Syaoran's side reflection in it. He was gazing at another direction, not realizing that he was reflected in the mirror of truth. No, I can't look any further. I must look away. I can't see what Syaoran's truth is. It's not honorable. Yet she couldn't draw herself away. It was as if invisible hands were gripping her head and forcing her to look in. A raspy voice whispered in her head, See, Cherry Blossom, see his truth. Aren't you curious? You always wondered, haven't you? Now is your chance. No, I'm not going to look. Sakura clenched her eyes shut. You have to look. See the little wolf's truth. The voice persisted. Another white light flared, drawing Sakura into the mirror. Sakura! Syaoran swerved around just in time to see Sakura enter the mirror as if it were liquid. Then too late did he realize that he made direct contact with the mirror and that he gazed straight into his reflection. Slowly, he emerged on the other side in an empty void engulfing him. Oh, where was Sakura? He walked through the pitch black until he came across a barrier. In front of him were 3 full-length mirrors. The first one gave him a wistful smile. The mirror reflected numerous scenes of young Nadesco and Ryurin days together when they first met, their fight in Cloud's house over the 5-4 scroll,
encountering Moonstone, guardian of the 5-4 scroll, falling off the tree, Nadesco's confession, their Christmas, Ryurin's hair sliced off, finally achieving their mission of finding the Cloud Card book, and all through the hardships, happiness, and time they spent with each other. On the other side of the 3 mirrors stood Sakura, also enthralled by the images, unknowing that Syaoran was right across the barrier. Sakura gazed into the second mirror, which alone blocked her from Syaoran. A young man stood facing a girl, pointing his sword straight at her neck. Both had tears streaming down their faces, yet neither of them faltered. Behind them stood 2 shadowed figures with golden eyes gleaming with hatred and triumph. This image deteriorated, then showed an empty, black void. Now, the girl of 16 was running down a long, endless, foggy road in the black void, her long violet hair whipping behind her. The same cruel voice said, "So, he left you without giving a second glance. He never cared for you or had any feelings for you. Doesn't it break your little heart? Even after you told him you loved him, even after all you've been through together. How can he leave you like that after all the pain and hurt he brought upon you? He was cold-hearted and selfish, always looking upon you as a little nuisance to put up with. You had nothing in common with him anyway. The only connection with him that you had was your special powers. That was it. Now that's all over. The last connection you had with him is gone. Face it. He has his own enthralling life awaiting for him back in Hong Kong. His mission here has ended. You found the Cloud Card book. He has no place for silly childhood memories such as you. His world will go turning without you." "No, it's not true. Stop lying to me. Ryurin, he didn't leave me. Ryurin, come back." She approached a cliff, reaching out with her hand before she tripped over a rock. "Ryurin!" The young man's sapphire blue eyes closed as he slowly dropped off the bottomless cliff with a taunting grin. Behind them was a full moon, and silhouetted by it was 2 standing figures with the triumphant golden eyes. "Face it, Li Ryurin's gone from your life. He went willingly back to Hong Kong. He left you, abandoned you, scorned you." "No, I won't believe it." Slowly, Nadesco sank to the ground, slipping the star sapphire ring off her finger. Her emerald eyes were widely open, as if she had no tears left to cry any more. Then she smiled. "If Ryurin-san can bravely face a new life, I'm not going to disappoint him by sulking in past memories like a child. I'm a woman now, and I can bury my childhood and start anew." Kinomoto Fushata. It was a different type of love, not hot and cold, unpredictable and dangerous, but a soft, glowing love that grew warmer with the sweetness and gentleness of a spring day. Maybe a sign she had matured. That was her destined future. Sakura's eyes blurred as Nadesco transformed into an immature girl to a blooming young woman, leaving behind her past love. How would Ryurin just leave her like that? Finally, in the third and last mirror, Syaoran found himself gazing at his own reflection. No, the reflection's eyes were blue, and his hair color was darker. Plus, he was slightly taller and a few years older. It was his father, Li Ryurin. "Father!" Syaoran slammed his fist against the mirror, forgetting it was only an illusion. The scene returned to the period right before Ryurin returned to Hong Kong after he found the Cloud Card book, and the misunderstanding with Nadesco occurred. Then he watched his father gaze into what looked like another mirror. A raspy voice whispered to Ryurin, "See the truth,
brave one. See how the truth would hurt you? You love her, don't you? Well, see how she'll never be yours.
Ryurin bent over in pain, placing his hand over his eyes and shouting, "Stop it! I don't care! I don't want to listen!"
See it, Ryurin. See it with your eyes. Her fate does not cross with yours.
Ryurin's sapphire blue eyes widened as he looked into the mirror. He saw Nadeshiko fall off the tree into Fujata's arms. He saw Fujata smile and say, "I thought an angel fell from the sky." He saw Nadeshiko blush and saw her deep emerald eyes. He saw their happiness and blissful joy as they married and bore children together. He saw how the daughter opened the cloud card book that he and Nadeshiko had retrieved. He saw how he had no place in it.
Don't you hurt, don't you ache. You've been a fool, and this isn't all. There's more to it. Yet, such a minor truth causes such a deep pain in your heart.
The evil voice laughed. "Shut up! I said shut up!" Ryurin slammed his fist into the mirror, which made no impact. "I don't want to know more. I don't care if she ends up with another man, as long as she's happy and content. Don't you think it'll make me love her less or change my feelings for her? You're the fool. You don't know love. The reason I can't say I love her is not because I'm afraid of the future. It's because I don't want to hurt her." His sapphire blue eyes blazed with fire as he held up his hand, which dripped blood from the impact.
"Ha! Doesn't it matter what you say or what you feel? Now you know the truth. If you don't want to hurt her, you have to leave her forever. Never clear that misunderstanding. Never let her know your true feelings. That's what's best for her. Either way, you've lost. You have to return to Hong Kong without a second glance."
"No, you're wrong." Ryurin looked up and whispered, "I've won. I've learned to love. She taught me to love. And whatever you do, you can't take that away." A mocking laughter rained throughout the void, knocking Ryurin down. A chord struck through Syaoran as he pressed his hand against the smooth, cold surface of the mirror. So, that was the reason why his father left Japan and Nadeshiko-san so suddenly. The evil ones had turned Nadeshiko and Ryurin against each other, and before either of them could admit their feelings amidst the hate and misunderstanding, the Dark Ones had shown the mirror of truth to Ryurin. They showed him Nadeshiko's future with Kinomoto Fujata, her true love then. It was destiny. It was no coincidence that Fujata was Claride's reincarnation, or that the Cloud Card book, which Nadeshiko and Ryurin had retrieved, ended up in their house for their daughter to find. The Dark Ones cruelly showed how fate was already spun, so that Ryurin could do nothing about it, but to return back to Hong Kong without clearing the misunderstanding and hate with Nadeshiko. Yet, Ryurin hadn't lost. As all the images disappeared, Sakura found that she was gazing at Syaoran through a single mirror. She reached out for him. Suddenly, the clearness of the mirror dissolved into chaos. Thousands of images of people, pained people appeared. Nadeshiko and Ryurin's death, a young Miho crying in front of her burning house, Mizuki Miyara delirious in the hospital, another figure burying his head into his hands, sobbing, and dozens more. There was another image, a Kaido magician with hundreds of spotlights on him, with police surrounding him, shooting at him with guns. Even as she clenched her eyes shut, Sakura felt the sorrow, hate, and pain of all the people rip through her body as she tried to escape from the burden. I want to get out of here. Then a clear, distinct voice, different from the menacing, raspy one that haunted her mind, shot through her head. "Sakura? Sakura! Are you in here?" "Syaoran? Is that you?"
Yes, now stay calm and open your mind. Don't get sucked further into the mirror. Here, I'm on the other side. I'll try to find you, Syaoran said to Sakura's mind. Okay. Sakura took a deep breath and opened her mind. Another image clouded over the mirror. There was a glowing 5-pointed star inscribed in a circle. Each of the great 5 forest magicians stood at each point. At first the image was blurry, then it cleared. Both Sakura and Syaoran watched from opposite ends in wonder. At the first point stood the magician, Reed, English father of Cloud Reed and power holder of the heavenly bodies. The tall man had deep blue eyes like his son, and glasses, with his pale hair tied back in Cloud's fashion. He was holding out a star sapphire ring in his hand, which emphasized the color of his eyes. On the next point of the star stood the beautiful Chinese mother of Cloud Reed, Li, also an ancestor of Syaoran and Melanie. She held the elemental power, balanced by the fire, water, wind, earth, and wood. The slender, willowy woman had startling amber eyes and long, jet-black hair that flowed unbound down her silken Chinese dress. There was a proud tilt of her head and a confident glint in her eyes as she held a large, gleaming sword out with apparent ease with such a graceful woman. Next to her stood a handsome, lean man with golden brown hair, grasping a radiant diamond necklace that seemed to have the North Star embedded in it. Amiya, powerful ancestor of Nadesco and Sakura, was a man with a playful, charming smile that lit up his bright emerald eyes. Beneath it was a powerful mind holding the second sight, or the sixth sense, the ability to see and do things that no one else could. On the fourth point stood Mizuki, a gentle-looking, lovely woman whose glossy auburn hair clouded around her, and her clear, level gray eyes reflected depth and morale. She radiated the power of contract magic. In her hands she held out a dazzling mirror with a golden-wrought frame. Finally, on the fifth and final point stood a captivating man with mysteriously flickering golden eyes and glossy blackish-violet hair. He had a pair of gleaming ruby earrings, the color of pigeon's blood. His power was dependent on the light and dark, and he was the ancestor of the Dark Ones. "Those are the 5 most powerful magicians before Cloud Reed," Sakura whispered. "Those 5 treasures. I know them. That sapphire ring, the Li Clan sword that Syaoran has, my diamond necklace, the mirror of truth, and I bet the ruby earrings are out there somewhere. That's what Kira-chan said about the 5 forest treasures, each belonging to the 5 great ones." Then the mirror shattered, splitting the 5 apart. Reed, Li, Amiya, Mizuki, and the Dark One's ancestor no longer formed the powerful union, but into broken bits of glass. Syaoran gazed in horror to see the powerful ones disintegrate, just like that. Then he saw Cloud Reed rise, taking all of the previous 5 great powers and combining them to one, joining East and West magic and becoming the greatest magician ever. "Have you seen enough, little wolf?" The same menacing voice which haunted him when he left Japan asked him. "You saw what happened to your parents. You probably realize what's in store for you." Smiling ironically, Syaoran replied, "No. My father and Sakura's mother chose what they wished to. Don't think my life is going to be a repetition of what happened to our parents in the past. No one's going to decide or control my future except for myself. I make my own choices. I take life as it comes along." Syaoran closed his eyes, then wondered if Sakura could hear him. "Syaoran, we have to get out," Sakura called in his mind. Briefly, he walked through the empty void, trying to feel for Sakura's aura. Then he found himself surrounded by more than 10 mirrors, all around him. All of them reflected Sakura behind it. To Sakura's surprise, she found 10 other reflections of her, all around her. Syaoran was in the center, looking around him, pounding on the glass from one side. Sakura shouted, "Syaoran, it's me!" And then the other reflections did the same. "Syaoran, it's me! Syaoran, it's me! Syaoran, it's me! Don't listen to them! Don't listen to them! Don't listen to them! Don't listen to them!" This was repeated 10 times also. It was worse than when the mirror card went around causing trouble. "Believe me! Believe me! Believe me! Believe me!" Warily, Syaoran swerved around him observantly at all the Sakura mirror reflections around him. Which one was Sakura? If he chose the wrong mirror, it was likely they'd never escape out of the void. Then he blasted out raw power into one mirror, shattering it. Through it, Sakura emerged with relief. "How'd you know I was the real one?" "What are you taking me for?" Syaoran grinned confidently, thanking the Li Clan head elder, his great uncle, for teaching him the locating spell. He fingered a green ribbon in his pocket, the one he had slipped out of her hair when she was sleeping on his bed after a long night of researching. Basically, the spell worked by having a focus object, which had belonged to that person you were looking for a long time. It made finding Sakura so much easier. Not that he couldn't find Sakura anyway. Truthfully, I had help. "Hui?" "Well, you were the only one making a crack in the mirror from pounding on it so much," Syaoran replied, shrugging his shoulders. "Your reflections are only reflections. And you're you." Outside Princess Rose's mirror of truth, Meilin, Tomeo, and the Kaido magician waited outside, gazing into the mirror, which instead of reflecting light was completely dark. They could see glimpses of what was happening inside, almost like a storybook. They saw each of the 5 magicians with the 5 treasures fall apart. Then they saw a blaze of power glow from Sakura and Syaoran. Immediately, Sakura and Syaoran both popped out of the mirror, landing right on top of the Kaido magician who was standing closest. "Ouch!" he cried. "You stepped on my sunglasses in my pocket." "Oh, are you all right?" Sakura asked apologetically, standing up from the crushed thief. "What do you think? Hey, get off my leg!" The Kaido shoved Syaoran off, who looked dazed. You must think all this is strange. I know. You're just a thief and we're, Sakura rambled on, twiddling her thumbs. How could she explain popping in and out of a mirror? "So, if you want an explanation about all this, The Kaido magician laughed sincerely this time. "Okay, I'm a thief magician. You're a magician. Who gives?" Forgetting what the mirror was, he peered into it to examine his cracked sunglasses. As he gazed in, he remembered it was the mirror of truth. Quickly, he looked away, yet his face was pale, as if he saw something he didn't want to see. With hands not so steady as usual, he covered the mirror with a cloth. "Well, this was delayed. But now, I'm off stealing this mirror." "Hey, you can't steal that. It's the museum's property," Meilin exclaimed. From apparently nowhere, the Kaido drew out another replica of the mirror and placed it on the exhibition stand, then locked its glass container. "No one will know the difference." He shrugged it off. But that's not the mirror of truth anymore," Sakura protested. "If you haven't noticed, only people with powers can actually see in the mirror, and the mirror does not reflect the truth. No one in the world knows the real truth. Yet, the mirror reflects only what looks like the truth. Remember, though, looks can be deceiving." The Kaido magician stood back to examine his perfect handiwork. "But people who looked in the mirror," Sakura critically stared at the replica. "They imagined what they saw the truth. Come on, most people can't tell the difference anyway. Well, adieu. Today took far too long. Don't think I forgot. I'll steal the necklace and ring next time." The Kaido magician prepared to leave with the mirror of truth. "Wait!" Meilin called out. Did you see anything in the mirror?" Taken by surprise, the thief replied,
That's none of your business, but yeah, I did. Hey, why are you stealing the mirror, as well as trying to steal the ring and the necklace? Syaoran asked suspiciously. Is it by any chance... If you must know, I'm gathering the 5 forest treasures. Don't bother asking why, the Kaido interrupted briefly. Goodbye. He jumped off into an opening on the ceiling of the roof. 5 forest treasures? What's your name? Sakura called out. Why should I tell you? I'm a thief, for heaven's sake, with a secret identity. Right now, I've got all of Tokyo's police force chasing me, not to mention New York, England, Paris, Hong Kong, Rome. Still, you're a person. Before a thief, you must get lonely sometimes. I'm just the Kaido magician, he stated, gulping down a choking feeling in his throat. Okay, I'll just call you Kaito-kun then. Stay safe, Kaito-kun, Sakura said. How like Sakura, what a cute nickname, Thief-kun. Tomeo zoomed her Sony video camera onto Kaito-kun. The Kaido magician sweat dropped. Hey, don't videotape me. If you show that to the police, I'm dead. Don't worry. Tomeo-chan uses it only for her personal interest, Malin said. On a side note, she called, Remember to eat your vegetables, Kaito-kun. Eating donuts and instant noodles all day is not healthy for you. Sighing before disappearing, the Kaido magician muttered, this is embarrassing. As if I'll live long enough anyway with the cops after me. I'll eat what I want, do what I want. After he disappeared, Malin exclaimed, Oh, no! I forgot to ask him to take this bracelet off of me. Great. Now a top 20 wanted criminal thief has access to knowing where I am 24/7. They heard a ringing of alarms throughout the whole museum. Great. Sakura, Syaoran, and Tomeo all fled the room before the guards came running. Back at the Lee's apartment complex, Malin and Sakura gulped down some of Syaoran's delicious cooking, including dim sum with various stuffing, stir-fried chow mein with beef and vegetables, fried rice with shrimp, steaming soup, and a dessert of apple pie. Who cared if it was past midnight? They were starving. Sakura sighed. The mirror of truth had confused her even more, yet cleared up some other details. Oh, poor Ryuren-san. He left Japan because he knew that Nadeshiko would end up marrying Fujata, her father, and they never cleared up their misunderstanding. Nadeshiko never knew Ryuren's true feelings for her, that he loved her. Malin-chan, why do you look so somber? Sakura asked, looking up from her plate full of food. Malin looked up, her reddish-amber eyes sorrowful. For a moment she paused, as if hesitating to say something. Then she announced, I'm going back to Hong Kong. Sakura and Syaoran both dropped their chopsticks. What? Think we gave him a nasty little surprise? Eron asked Arika, who was ripping the petals off a red rose one by one. It could have been better, Arika replied, watching the blood-red petals drop to the carpet. We're too easy on them. Hey, Oni-chan, what do you think of Small Wolf and Cherry Blossom's feelings for each other? What feelings? Eron demanded, crushing a goblet in his fingers, letting the glass collapse in his palm. I thought it was obvious that they have nothing going on between them. Nadeshiko and Ryuren were a different story. These two now are just not meant for each other. Dropping the remains of the glass goblet fall into the ground, he ground it into a powder with his foot. I'll take her for mine yet.